sanctified. Unum sanctum, breakfast fight. Love truth, but how you get peace when it's my part? Unum sanctum, color the flies. Unum sanctified. Unum sanctum, pick fight.
Because it says that that's where your strength is, and it's something that unites us as a people. If that religion is going to be used to do that, then they are going to have to demean the practices which would unite us with our source of power, which indeed were the practices of ancestor communion. So that what they would preach is that in believing in those things, you were being heathen, you were being pagan, those were superstitions, and you were being uncivilized. And if you want to be civilized, then take this civilized religion, you see, which was universally civilized for all people, when actually what they were preaching was a statement of European nationalism, something which would uphold the system that with which they were trying to control us.
In English, unum sanctum means one holy, referring to the church, one holy church. Let's read the text. Urged by faith, we are obliged to believe and to maintain that the church is one holy, Catholic, and also apostolic. We believe in her firmly, and we confess with simplicity that outside of her there is neither salvation nor the remission of sins. This brings us to our first point. With regards to unum sanctum, the basic bookends of this entire papal bull will be your relationship to the church in Rome is what your salvation rests on. There is no salvation outside of her. There's not even remission of sins outside of the Roman Church. That is...
The bull was a powerful assertion of the Pope's claim to spiritual lordship over the entire world, not just within Christendom. By granting Portugal exclusive rights to lands along the African coast, the bull prevented other European powers from interfering and reinforced Portugal's position as the Pope's designated agent in the region. The document served as an ideological and legal basis for colonial endeavors, which in turn solidified the Pope's influence over the monarchies that carried them out. In exchange for political and territorial claims, the Portuguese king, Prince Henry the Navigator, offered to spread Christianity in the new lands. This created a mutually beneficial arrangement where the Pope gained a new source of influence and potential converts.
I'll expose it with a little bit of history. The Catholic Church, the Roman cult, has been very, very, very busy in the last couple of thousand years, starting with the Julian dynasty, then the Flavian dynasty, then the Antons, the Antonys. We had the empire. Rome was a republic, became an empire. Just like that, overnight. They killed Julius Caesar, bang, Augustus. It's an empire. This empire is our enemy, as you will see, because it has morphed as it's gone through the ages with the backing of the Roman cult and a very, very dark priesthood, who through their sorcery and evil and their papal bulls, they seal those papal bulls, they put a spell on them, they put them in their vaults, and what is written on those papal bulls goes. Why? Well, because they're sorcerers. And because when you make a claim of right, which in law means, hey, these are mine, I'm claiming them. Well, I've got the highest claim of right because they're in my hands. I brought them here. The evidence is there. So they're mine. It's Templar. But here, what happened in this year was this guy, Pope Boniface VIII, in 1302 created the first express trust in history. What's a trust? Well, the Crusaders were going off to Jerusalem, leaving their homes, their palaces and their riches behind. So they developed an idea. They would say to their most trusted friend, you, I want to hand over my estate to you in trust, and I'm off to Jerusalem, I'm fighting for Christ. That's what the Crusades are all about, isn't it? That's another story. Anyway, so when I come back, you're my best friend, you're the best person to give my property to in trust, so he becomes the trustee, the owner of the property. What would happen was some of these knights would come back, and the guy that their best friend that they left these treasures with got used to the treasures and decided that they would keep them. And guess what? The courts would not support the knights because the trustee had the right to keep the property. That's how the trust started. It worked. They worked for most people, but for some of them, they didn't get their property back. What happened was this guy and the Catholic Church, always desiring to control with their inquisitions, decided that they would create the first express trust in history. All right, that trust is called Unum Sanctum. What does the papal bull say that they created to stick in their vault and put their spell on that has cursed us so much, this Unum Sanctum? It says that all the world and all the souls in it are ours. Remember the right of claim? This is mine. Well, a claim of right. They made a claim of right. They rocked up, sitting on top of the world, look around, seeing all these people sleeping, got all these gold in their vaults and all this power, and they said, we own the world. And so they do, because no one has challenged that. No one has challenged Unum Sanctum, this papal bull. It's in the vaults. And it's a curse on mankind, and I'll show you how. This was the first express trust in history. So they have claimed the whole world and all the souls therein. And you will see, by virtue of your birth certificate, that that is the title of your soul that they own in their registries. They have registered you. And that is the title to your soul. So what you're going to learn in the second half of this presentation with Serena is how to collapse those trusts, because it's the only way to get out of the system and claim your dominion as children of God, of the universe, and not as their slaves, as people lost at sea, incompetent, because that's how they consider you when you walk into court, an incompetent, dead, with no soul, because they own it. And those...
You're suffering under occupation. Unum sanctum occupation, not racism, not prejudice. Unum sanctum operations. And even with the person that they interject among us, among our own, who do the little nasty things to undermine the progress, that's Phoenix program. Phoenix program. You know, and the Phoenix program is connected to Unum sanctum. Right? So when you're looking at COINTELPRO operations, Phoenix program. And never forget that. What Nixon set up with the so-called reserve currency for the U.S. dollar, or what they call the petrodollar. And that's where when they blackmailed the Saudi Arabians into not accepting any oil financial transfers without the currencies of other nation states going through the Jesuit order of the banking system for the Unum Sanctum operations of the Circle Church. And the reason I'm projecting that because they'll just say the petrodollar being the reserve currency without telling you the connections or making the links. And so people's concepts of how they're looking at this stuff continues to be kind of muddy, and we've got to get it out of the muddy platform and get it into a clarity of what's actually taking place. And as you become more cognizant of how things operate, your mental changes on how you look at it. And of course, your language will change also. But in your language changing, and your thought process is changing, you're actually putting nails in the coffin of the vampires. This is again why they're upset. See, because the system of the operations of the Phoenix program requires blind faith. And so when they see the blind faith being dissolved, it is a political threat. Are we clear? And we need to
Sanctum,